There is a place just beyond what we know, where time forgets its name, where shadows speak, and truth wears 1,000 faces. It is not the future, it is not the past. It is a doorway hidden in the spaces between thoughts, dreams, and regrets. Each soul will find it differently through a choice, a lie, a chance not taken. Step carefully, because once you cross the line, you may not return the same. Welcome to the threshold. He found another gap, this time between 102.7 and 102.9. This time, the voice was his too, but harder, colder, clipped, and ruthless. The acquisition will proceed as planned. Downsizing is unavoidable. Our fiduciary responsibility is to the shareholders, not to sentimentality. The background noise was the sterile hum of a modern office, the clatter of keyboards, the sharp metallic tang of ambition, not the warm crackle of his studio, the comforting whisper of vinyl. Another time, between 95.5 and 95.7, he heard a Leo who sounded frail, hesitant, giving instructions to someone with weary patience. Just a little more on the left, please, and make sure the pills are crushed properly. The background was almost silent, punctuated only by the slow, deliberate ticking of a clock. The radio wasn't just receiving broadcasts, it was a window, the tuning dial, his tool for connecting with the world, had become a threshold into alternate timelines, glimpses of lives he might have lived, choices he might have made. Each possibility seemed to amplify a facet of his own personality, his own regrets. The family man he could have been if he'd fought harder for his marriage, if he'd been braver, less afraid of commitment. The successful, ruthless businessman he might have become if he'd chased money instead of music, if he'd been willing to sacrifice everything for ambition. The isolated, failing man he might become if he gave in entirely to his loneliness and despair. Leo became obsessed. He neglected his actual show, playing records on autopilot, his mind lost in the static between stations. He spent hours hunting for these other Leos, listening to their triumphs and failures, their joys and sorrows. He started talking back to the radio, whispering advice or warnings to these phantoms of himself. He'd argue with the ruthless businessman, plead with the distant father, offer comfort to the frail old man. The broadcasts were a siren song, a tantalizing glimpse of what might have been. They offered the allure of happiness and success, but also the stark warnings of failure and misery. They amplified his greatest fear, loneliness and irrelevance, by showing him versions of himself surrounded by love or power, versions of himself who had chosen differently. His flaw, dwelling on regret, on the what ifs, was given an infinite, torturous playground. One stormy night, the power surged again. This time, the radio went haywire. The tuning dial spun uncontrollably, a blur of motion, rapidly cycling through the static channels. The studio filled with a cacophony of voices, fragments of different Leos overlapping, merging, colliding. Laughter, arguments, weeping, silence, a chorus of selves, a symphony of regret. Sarah, I I love you. The deal is closed. Just a little more morphine. Another night alone. And then, faint but clear, amidst the chaos, he heard his own broadcast voice, the one he used every night, the voice that was supposed to be his anchor to reality. Just another voice in the storm, another possibility in the noise. And that was Miles Davis from Kind of Blue, a little something for the lonely hearts out there. Panic seized him. He couldn't bear it anymore. This chorus of what might have been, this relentless reminder of his own choices, his own failures. He lunged for the radio, his hand slamming down on the main power switch. Silence.